All right. So, how the questions? We have 10 questions for the first chapter, chapter 32. هلا to be honest the questions for these chapters يعني ما فيهم شيء challenging أو you know things إنه مثلا بدكم تفكروا كتير فيهم because mostly هول chapters أغلبهم بيكونوا حفظ. ف يعني حتشوفوا إنه أغلب ال questions حيكونوا تقريبا exactly from the slides. You need to memorize بس الفايلات وكل جروب بروتوستومز deuterostomes وهالأخبار. ماشي؟ So first question is what are the general features of animals? Who can answer these questions? And we have more than one. But everyone, every person just answer one. I will say one feature.
multicellular.
Multicellularity. What do you mean by multicellularity?
And unlike bacteria مثلا ما عندهم one cell.
Yes, exactly. For example, our body have trillions of cells together. Shireen said heterotrophy. Yes, what do you mean by heterotrophy? Shireen? Yes, exactly. So heterotrophic or animals because they are heterotrophics, okay? So they consume or they get their energy from other organisms. عكس the plants, for example, which they are autotrophs. So they use their energy, they synthesize their own food. بس نحن, for example, us humans and animals, we need to eat other animals and other plants, okay, to get our energy. So we are heterotrophs. Sexual reproduction, yes, exactly. So we don't reproduce asexually, which is a kind of for example, budding. Okay, we cannot bud. We need two partners to reproduce. So who can give me an example other than budding and asexual reproduction? Do you know an example عن asexual reproduction كيف ممكن تكون? Sponges, yes, exactly. So what actually happens is that most of the cases بالasexual reproduction مثلا بتكون as a budding من sponges. For example, تكبر part of the sponge and then it detaches from the sponge, then بتعلق على الأرض أو بتسبح anywhere in the sea and then بتعلق. So it's identical copy. So this is the idea of asexual reproduction. The daughter cell is or the daughter organism is an identical copy of the mother. For example, in bacteria, okay, they're produced by fission, by multiplying. Binary fission, exactly, is asexual reproduction. Okay, so the main idea of asexual reproduction is that it is done by one parent, and the daughter is identical. Okay, or the daughter cell, the daughter organism, okay, is identical as the parents. No cell walls. Yes, exactly. So animal cells don't have cell walls, and this plays an important role. Okay, or give us an advantage. Okay, to be more flexible, to respond more easily to the environment. Because as we know, إذا كان في عنا cell walls are really thick. So these thick cell walls will prevent our cells to move freely or to مثلا, for example, to react for a shock. Okay. Other than that, tissues.
I'm
Yes,
not sure بس I remember كان في movement, complex movement.
yes, we have complex movement. Exactly. مثلا if we compare ourselves to plants don't have complex movement. نحن our bodies are flexible. Okay, so we can move freely. We have complex movement in many directions. We can, if you say, we can move our muscles in different directions. Other than that, بعد في عنا شيء. I guess قلناهم كلهم. Tissues, yes, we said tissues. Animals have tissues. The tissues, if we need to think about them, they are mostly a group of same cells, same type of cells, or sometimes different type of cells. But the cells that بيكونوا in the tissues are limited. Okay, so it's mostly few type of cells that work in a synchronous manner together to form a proper function. Like for example, our hearts, our lungs, they are all tissues. Embryonic development, yes, we have special embryonic development. What else? I think we mentioned them all. بعد في شيء we didn't mention. Yes, all right, great. Wait just a minute. You're still being able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on. Okay. So how many planes can cut an animal with radial symmetry into two equal halves?
Infinity.
Infinity. Why infinity?
كمان أكيد مش one عشان ما عنده a specific axis which we can cut through.
Exactly.
في حالة يكون axis.
Exactly. So radial symmetry, if you need to think about radial symmetry, أنا أفكر فيها it is as if it's a circle. يعني if you need to say any diameter in the circle إذا بترسموا a circle بترسموا any diameter in this circle هيقسم the circle into two equal halves. So it's the same concept, okay? Animals with radial symmetry ما عندهم one plane that cuts them in half, okay? They are equally the same at all sides. Yes, exactly. What are the three germ layers? This is an easy question.
Ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm.
Endoderm, exactly. Who can tell me endoderm, what does it give rise to?
To the digestive organs and intestines.
Exactly. The mesoderm?
Skeleton and muscles.
Yes. And the ectoderm?
Body coverings and the nervous system.
Yes, exactly. So actually guys, how the three germ layers here, they just form at the early stage of the embryonic development. يعني لما نكون only we are around 16 to 32 cells. So they form at this cell stage. لما يكون احنا تقريبا 32 cells بتكون already في عندنا three germ layers. That means three types of cells. And then these cells will give rise to the corresponding organs and tissues that we've just said. Okay, so pseudocoelomates have no body cavity, have a body cavity between the mesoderm and the endoderm, have a body cavity within the mesoderm, and have a digestive cavity. Which is the correct statement?
The second one.
Yes, exactly. So pseudocoelomates have a body cavity between mesoderms and endoderms. Coelomates, for example, on the contrary, what are they? Or body cavity between what and what?
The mesoderm, in between the mesoderm.
Within the mesoderm, exactly. And acoelomates?
Only have a digestive cavity.
Yes, exactly. They don't have a coelom, they have only a digestive cavity. Okay. جايز عم تشوفوا شيء اسود هون بس انا فاتح بارت المسجز فاذا حتشوفوا مش عم تشوفوا شيء اسود ما يبين. Alright, تمام. Okay, so in protostomes, the mouth develops before anus, the anus develops before mouth, mouth and anus develop at the same time, and no development occurs.
First one.
Exactly, mouth develops before anus. Whereas in deuterostomes, on the contrary, شو بصير؟
Anus بعدين mouth.
Anus develop before them, then the mouth, okay? In protostomes, the mouth from where it developed, or what are the possible locations where the mouth would develop?
أو blastopore أو near the
Yes,
blastopore.
exactly. Yeah, from the blastopore or from near the blastopore. And the anus will develop either إذا كانت mouth developed from the blastopore, then it will develop from another location, or if the mouth doesn't develop or didn't develop from the blastopore, the anus will develop from the blastopore. Now, regarding the deuterostomes, the anus developed from where?
From the blastopore,
From the
near.
blastopore. Yes, exactly. So anus in deuterostomes develop from the blastopore, and then the mouth develop from a place different from the blastopores. Okay, so list the three main differences between protostomes and deuterostomes. So similarly, who can tell me the first difference? Exactly. Protostomes undergo spiral cleavage while deuterostomes undergo radial cleavage. Other difference. Formation of the coelom. Yes, exactly. بالضبط. Protostomes have determined development, whereas deuterostomes have indeterminate development. What do you mean by determined and indeterminate? Does anybody know? like نحن لما نقول determinate development
No,
يعني فيها.
we can know the cell type before mitosis happens.
Yes. هلا not exactly before mitosis بس نحن عندنا as I told you انه zygote او us as humans او all organisms ببلشوا from this one cell and then this cell undergoes mitosis, undergoes cleavage, okay, multiplication. تعطينا this group of cells, then this group of cells are going to start to differentiate to give rise to different organs and tissues, okay? So what actually happens is that in protostomes, okay, they have early on يعني before at the early stages مثلا نقول at the 10 cell stage لما نكون only 10 cells, these cells know their fate. يعرفوا هن شو بدهم لا شو بدهم what they want to give rise to. Whereas in the deuterostomes بيطولوا أكتر. For example, we need to stay till the 30 cell stage until لا يعرفوا how the cells to what we need to differentiate. Get the idea? Yes, exactly, Shireen. The 30
Can you please repeat question علاء?
Yes, sure. So لما نكون عم نحكي نحن عن determinate and indeterminate development, what do we mean? نحن نعرف إنه all organisms start from this one cell اللي هي by the fusion of the gametes بيعطونا this one cell which is the zygote. And then the zygote starts undergoing mitosis and cleavage. لآخر شيء يعطينا the full baby اللي بيخلق, okay? So the difference between protostomes and deuterostomes is that نحن عندنا whole cells, okay, that are multiplying. They will eventually differentiate يعني they will eventually know each cell لشو رح تعطي. مثلا هيدي السيل رح تعطي going to give rise to cells in the lungs. This cell is going to give rise to muscle.
Specialization, right?
What?
Specialization.
Specialization,
cells.
exactly. Specialization and differentiation. What actually happens in protostomes is that this specialization and differentiation occurs only on early on. يعني for example نقول at the 10 cell stage لما تكون بعد عنا this zygote has developed into 10 cells only. بيعرفوا هول 10 cells where they need to go or where what do they need to differentiate to. Whereas in the deuterostomes هيدي الشغله بتطول اكثر. So for example بضلهم لل 20 cell stage ليصير هالزايكوت يعطينا 20 cells until these cells know what do they want to give rise to. عرفتي كيف؟ Get the idea all?
Yes.
All right. And the third one, as Serene is saying, the mouth developed first for protostomes, but in deuterostomes, the anus developed first. Okay, هلا حكينا عنها in the previous section, in the previous question. All right, so moving on, humatozoans, they are animals with symmetry. They contain cnidarians and bilaterians. They have tissues. They are not sponges, and all of the above.
All of the above.
All of the above, yes, exactly. Humatozoans in animals with symmetry. They contain cnidarians and bilaterians. They have tissues. Mostly all animals with symmetry have tissues, okay? And they are not sponges. Sponges belong to what phyla, if you need to say? The Parazoa, exactly. Where sponges show, the sponges don't have tissues. They don't have symmetry, okay? And they are sponges, and they are the only, if you need to say, species under Parazoa. So Lophotrochozoans, what are Lophotrochozoans? They are protostomes, deuterostomes, plants, or they undergo ecdysis.
Protostomes.
Yes, it's protifera actually. Yes, exactly, protostomes. So Lophotrochozoans are protostomes. What other phylum lies within protostomes غير Lophotrochozoans?
Ecdysozoa.
Ecdysozoans, okay. Exactly.
بس before we move on في حدا سأل بالchat on the previous question.
تبع البروفيرا كتبها or
Yes.
Rami? Yes, it is protifera. It is rotifera. and not porifera. I don't know what did you write. Profera. It's rotifera. Get it? All right. We'll resume. So triploblasts are cnidarians and ctenophores. They are only bilaterians, sponges, and or have 3 germ layers. Yes, exactly, Lucinda. They have 3 germ layers. Well, how 3 germ layers? We've seen them in the previous questions. They are the ectoderm, the endoderm, and the mesoderms. Okay, cnidarians and ctenophores are what? They are diploplastics. What do you mean by diploplastics? So, هن diploblasts.
Have only 2 germs layers.
Germ layers, yes, exactly. Yes, بالضبط endoderm, ectoderm. Only bilaterians? No. All bilaterians are triploblasts, but not مش بس bilaterians in the triploblasts, okay? Other species which are not bilaterians could be triploblasts or not, okay? اللي هن diploblasts. Okay, so they have 3 germ layers. Now coloblasts are produced by cnidarians, produced by ctenophores, produce adhesive chemicals, and more than one answer is correct. Yes, more than one answer. شو هن الانسرز that are correct? Ctenophores and adhesive, exactly. Okay, so ctenophores, they have these coloblasts اللي هن large, if you need to say, tentacles that come from the body, and these tentacles عليهم adhesive molecules. So they use these adhesive molecules to capture their prey. بس تصير this prey على these adhesive molecules on the coloblast ما عادش فيها تفل, and then the ctenophore can hunt it easily. Okay, what do cnidarians produce? What is the special, if you need to say, chemical that cnidarians produce?
Nematocide.
Nematocysts, exactly. Okay, so this was it لهذا الشابتر. As you've seen كلهم كانوا if you need to say ما فيهم شيء to just انه نشغل عقلنا فيه او نحلل فيه. They are only basically memorization questions. So any question before we move on? All right, all is clear for all of you. Damn, great. Now moving on to chapter 33 اللي هو بيحكي عن protostomes. Okay. So as we know, protostomes in show they are divided into 2, the lophotrochozoans and the ecdysozoans. Okay, so كل chapter حكي بس عن lophotrochozoans and ecdysozoans and the phyla of each of them. So let's start by, or before we start, تقولي ما حدا عنده question about chapter 33 before we move on to questions? All right, تمام. So a trochophore is a free living, has ciliated tentacles, belong to ecdysozoans, and its mouth is near its anus. Yes, exactly. A trochophore is a free living. What I was going to ask. Okay, راح أنبه the question. I'll ask it when I remember it. ماشي. So moving on. Okay, so phylum Platyhelminths. What are phylum Platyhelminths? They are flatworms, acoelomates, has one opening. They are all free living. They have complex reproductive system. Some, but not all of the above, or all of the above. Yeah. Okay, if some but not all of the above, شو هن الcorrect وشو هن الwrong? one by one قولوا اللي
عندهم one opening
yes
عندهم one opening
yes صح
و I think إنه عندهم reproductive system أكيد.
yes عندهم a complex reproductive system
آه.
they are
و
acellulomates
بس I'm not sure إذا about free living. هلا هي free living كيف يعني إنه مش ساسايل يعني هيك
يعني
هيك
they are
قصده؟
all free living فيهم مثلا يمشوا على التراب يسبحوا whatever they want to do
They
Yeah, I mean
are both. They can be free living and they can be parasites.
exactly platinhelminths can be free living and can be parasites actually many parasites that we've seen that we've بعرف إذا حضرين شي videos على YouTube about doctors okay removing worms that are as long as 30 and 40 centimeters okay from a human intestine so these are the platinhelminths okay so they survive they are parasites okay in our they just feed on our intestines ليش؟ لأن our intestines فيهم كل النيوترينتس so احنا كل النيوترينتس we absorb them at the level of our intestine so بتجي هالبارازايت and it got stuck to this intestine and it sucks all the nutrients that we need and platinhelminths are part of them okay so they are flatworms they are acellulomates they has yes one opening so they take waste they take nutrients and they excrete waste from the same opening and they have a complex reproductive system but they are not all free living we have parasitic forms all right so some but not all of the above so what are the wheel bearers Rotifera have corona structure they are pseudocoelomates they have bilateral symmetry or all of the above
all of the above.
all of the above yes exactly wheel bearers they belong to they are Rotifera okay they have this corona structure and the corona structure is this wheel structure at the tip of the mouth okay they are pseudocoelomates okay and they have a bilateral symmetry okay us as a humans what symmetry do we have bilateral شو اسمه الplane that cuts us exactly into two halves
Sagittal.
sagittal هيك شيء.
sagittal plane exactly the sagittal plane so all of the above to what phylum does the common octopus or is known as Octopus vulgaris belong
Mollusca.
the mollusca okay so as you can see guys يعني ما فيهم اشياء لتفكروا فيها او something it's just اذا حافظين بتحلوا
هيك بيجوا الإكزامز usually
هلا ممكن يجوا اصعب شوي to be honest بس in general بيجوا حفظ يعني اذا حافظه بتحل كثير منيح ما فيهم شيء هلا for these 3 chapters اكيد بالاول بعدين بس بلشوا بالسيستمز ببلش في اشياء شوي تحليل بس ممكن يجيبوا لكم كيس ستادي انه حدا صابوا هيك شيء بهالسيستم شو ممكن يكون الايرور in السيستم عرفتي كيف؟
Oh nice
all in details
okay
ما في شيء بهالشابتر ما فهمته هو عن segmentation ما كثير عم بفهم إنه
يلا explain segmentation
آه.
او يلا هلا explain بهذا الكويستشن
آه.
or before this question so لما نحكي عن segmentation is that البادي okay the body of the animal or whatever organism is okay it's segmented شو يعني في independent parts okay يعني في عنده this part that for example tackles this function then this part tackles this function and the other part tackles the other function شو يعني هذا الشيء يعني we have if you need to say different compartments okay that operate independently of one another يعني مثلا for example I can speak and digest at the same time I can speak مثلا and move my hand and legs at the same time okay so this is a segmentation نحن عندنا parts in our body okay or the body in us okay is segmented يعني few segments من اسمها it's few segments كل segments is the أو tackles a certain function عرفت كيف شو قصدي؟
Also the segments don't have to be identical not necessarily
لا not necessary هلا احنا بالاناليتس اوكي
they are
بتكون انه they are identical okay but it's not
yes
necessary
okay.
أنا هلا فهمته ميرسي كثير
hello okay so choose the false answer about annelids okay they are segmented they have a segmented circulatory system they are coelomates and they have a septate what is the false statement Lucinda says coelomate. مين عنده other answer?
They have a closed circulatory system, not segmented.
Okay, yes, part of it is true. Exactly. So this is the wrong answer, is that they have a segmented circulatory system. Actually, annelids are coelomates. Sorry, they have an unsegmented circulatory system. شو يعني unsegmented circulatory system؟ إذا بنشوف the annelids, okay, each compartment, it's the annelids here just, if you need to say, a combination of identical units, okay, of identical segments together. Most of the if you say organ systems and organs, label annelids, they are found in all segments except for the circulatory system. شو يعني segmented circulatory unsegmented circulatory system. Unsegmented circulatory system يعني ما في عندنا complete circulatory system in each segment. عندنا one circulatory system that goes all over the body, okay, it nourishes. Circulatory system شو يعني the ones that carries the blood and nutrients with this blood, so it nourishes these all segments. Get the idea أو برجع بعيدها؟
Okay, so basically إذا عنا segmented circulatory system بيكون في one compartment that has the circulatory
Yes,
system.
exactly.
فيه.
Exactly. One compartment have its own independent circulatory system.
يعني احنا
Yes, so
عشان هيك
basically
بس
إذا
لا
What?
كفي
sorry,
كده.
continue. إذا كان عنا one compartment ما كان موجود the circulatory system ما حيثبت, right?
Can you repeat your question?
إنه they don't work independently يعني إذا one compartment منه موجود the circulatory
يعني
system ما
independent.
بيثبت.
يعني you mean إذا one compartment مش وصل لها circulatory system ما بتشتغل? This is your question?
No, the circulatory system ما بيثبت إذا one of its compartments مش ضابطة مثلا أو منه موجود. You know, they are dependent.
In the case of annelids عم تحكي؟
In the case of إيه
هلا حسب ما فهمت عليك you're saying مثلا إذا ب one segment ما كان ضابط circulatory system, then the whole system is going to get يعني يكون فيها problem. This is your question?
إيه yeah.
لا اوكي ما بتمشي مثل هاي in this way. مثلا for example اذا لا سمح الله لا سمح الله إن بايدك صار شيء and then البلد وقف يمشي على ايدك, اوكي, بتموتي لا سمح الله؟ نو. عرفتي كيف؟ so
Oh إيه
it's all
okay I get it okay
عرفتي كيف؟
yes.
Yes. So again they are unsegmented. بلا the annelids they have solid bodies. This thing that you were asking.
بس رامي كان عنده question.
Yes, sorry, what's the question?
لا أنا كان سؤالي مثل كارال يعني basically إنه إذا one segment is damaged ما بيأثر لل other segments مزبوط
لا.
لأنه هن
Okay. So bryozoans عندهم anus open far from mouth, reproduce only asexually, produce zooxium, and or they are ecdysozoans. Yes, they produce zooxium. شو هو zooxium? Zooxium هو it's a kind of material, if you need to say, that the bryozoans produce when they live in colonies. So they produce this zooxium, and this zooxium gets, if you need to say, into the bottom تبعهم and form this tough material that joins, okay, or that connects all the colony together. Okay, so trichinosis. Trichinosis, actually, it's a bacterial disease formed by hookworms, forms cysts in muscles, or it lives in well-cooked meat. Okay, Rami says formed by hookworms. Who have another answer?
انا مش مأكد اذا هي بالمصل، ما بعرف، عشان كده قلت هوك هولمز.
no problem yeah.
هلا أنا ما بعرف بس إنه definitely not in well cooked meat. هيدا يمكن نشيلها.
Exactly. So actually the true answer is
Right.
cysts and muscles.
Forms and muscles.
Exactly. So أو بعدين I'm gonna tell you this advice. First of all, شو يعني cysts? When we say cysts in muscles, what do these cysts look like? أو بس أقول لكم cysts of muscles شو يعني? Do anyone know? Exactly. It's a sack of, we can say liquid. It's a sack of, it's a nutritive sack. This sack بتكون فيها this hookworm. So لما sorry مش this hookworm. فيها this worm. I forgot exactly what worm causes trichinosis. So this worm بس توصل on this muscle, it forms this sack around itself, okay? And it start get nutrients, okay, and start feeding on these muscles, okay? So these are cysts, okay? And of course, it doesn't live in well-cooked meat. We know all that mostly all cooked food, لما نعمل cooking food, almost we are killing all pathogens, whether they are bacteria, whether they are worms, okay, viruses, fungi, whatever they are. Okay, so one thing guys is this is an advice for you. I guess شفتوها حتى انتوا عملتوا biology exams, is that بيجيبوا لكم اياهم more than one question could be right, so بدكم تنقوا انتوا the best answer. Okay, وافضل طريقه لتمشوا بهالشيء هو ان تبلشوا تعملوا the wrong answers، يعني تبلشوا تشطبوا the wrong answers وبعدين توصلوا لل right answer. اوكي، يعني حتستعملوها كثير لانه حيجيبوا لكم اشياء هيك يخبطوكم فيها، فبلشوا انتم تشطبوا الرونج انسرز، بعدين لحاله بيطلع الرايت انسر، او بصير في عندكم مثلا two options instead of four بتصير قهوه. alright, so the right answer is that trichinosis form system.
لا بس سؤال، هلا هن دغري بفوتوا على المصل؟
لا
انا هن اول شيء بفوتوا على الانتستين، مزبوط؟
yes exactly. هي the
بس
trichinella worm بتفوت على الانتستين، it's the mother worm, okay، بتضل بالانتستين then it lays او it actually ejects its eggs بالبلاد ستريم، بتروح through this blood stream من stomach، اوكي، وبتروح على this eggs
يعني
small.
يعني الفورميشن هي بالمصل، الفورميشن مش بالانتستين، هي بيجوا بعدين بيروحوا على المصل، بس الفورميشن هي بالمصل. اوكي، بس لانه هيك بتضيع شوي بنضيع.
صح صح. alright, any more questions على هذا السؤال؟ alright تمام. So moving on, what aspects corresponds to the success of arthropods? So first of all, arthropods, they belong to what phyla, or actually to what division, okay, of the protostomes?
Ecdysozoa.
Ecdysozoans, exactly. So what aspects corresponds to the success of arthropods? Exactly, they undergo ecdysis. شو يعني ecdysis? Molting. What do you mean by
Molting.
They shed their shell, okay? So what actually happens is that بيكون عندهم these shells, but these shells ما بيكبروا, they are chitin cells, okay? They are made up of chitin cells. So these shells ما بيكبروا. But الانيمال, okay, أو insects in general، عم نحكي عن arthropods, okay? على طول بتكون عم تكبر internally in size. توصل لمطرح this shell is just forming a burden عليها، عم تضغط لها على its internal organisms. فبتعمل shedding لهيدي الشell and then it forms a new bigger one. What other aspects? Actually, هاي مش aspects of the success of arthropods. It's just characteristics.
Segmentation.
Segmentation. Yes, they have their segmented body. What are شو ممكن يكون these segments? إنه شو ممكن يكون اسم these segments? As we know, they have
Tagmata.
what?
Tagmata.
Other than that, إذا بتكوني more general تكبر الشغلة. Tagmata is a specific segment فيها.
Oh, like unit head مثلا thorax abdomen.
بالضبط, the thorax and the abdomen. Okay. شو بعد عندهم what other characteristics if you say أو aspect?
Joint appendage.
Yes, exactly. Jointed appendages. The jointed appendages شو بتخليهم? What advantages does it give the arthropods? أو before شو قصدهم بالjointed appendages when you say jointed appendages jointed appendages يعني على appendages في joints شو يعني joints يعني مثلا احنا at our knee في joints اوكي يكون عندنا في joints these joints شو بيخلونا نعمل بيخلونا to move اوكي مثلا for example our leg or our hand اوكي in different directions exactly بصير في عنده motor locomotion they can bend and move easily okay the third aspect
Exoskeleton made of protein and chitin.
بالضبط اللي حكينا عنها the exoskeleton that's made of actin protein شو الادفانتج اللي بيعطيها this exoskeleton للarthropods no the idea or the concept of it made of
Protect
how
it.
does it help yes it's strong it can protect it other than that water loss it can prevent dehydration for example our skin okay is easily permeable because it's not tough it's easily permeable to hydration when we sweat okay whereas in the case of arthropods okay it's much harder ليش لأنه it's strong and the ability to move exactly all right guys this was all for these two chapters any questions عنهم عرفتون
you.
anything
No, everything was very clear.
great
Can you please send this question on the group?
yes أنا بعتهم للCOE ما بعتوا لكم إياهم still
No, I don't think.
اوكي هقول لهم هلا يبعثوا لكم اياهم or اذا ما بعد معطونا انا I'm gonna send them
Thank you so much.
ولو great guys لكن if everything is clear then let me stop recording